Well, and I've loved
Jane.
listening to different things you guys have done. I've learned a lot I don't have children on the spectrum, but just being able to tap into you guys as a resource as a teacher is really something that like teachers need to know about what you do and the information that you share, because it's not all about teaching or that, but it's about learning and understanding where these kids and parents are coming from. It's such a powerful tool. It really is.
Oh, thank
Love
you.
that.
Oh,
Welcome to Talk Like a Mother Parenting Autism Podcast. We are Jen, Kim, Rachel, and Jamie. Take a seat at our table as we share with hope, humor, and honesty.
hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the More We Know series. Tonight, we have Dayna Harvey with us, who is an incredible swim instructor, life changer, extraordinary educator. I can hardly wait for you guys to hear from her. Hey, Dayna.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, hey girls. Dayna is a water safety expert. She has been educating and empowering parents with information, strategies, and hands-on tools to keep their children safer in and around water. And she is a swim lesson teacher, instructing children in the skills they need to save their lives. Dayna was first certified in 1988, and she has been impacting families ever since. I would say passionately impacting families ever since. I'm a
Yes.
follower of hers, and she's got a fire in her belly. The mission to end childhood drowning has intensified as drowning continues to be the #1 cause of accidental death in children under 5. Dayna and the Wading Whale Kids have created the Watching Initiative and the Wading Whale Water Safety Kit, which is important tools for parents to have in their homes as they teach their children, where there is water, I will wait, which is her incredible tagline from one of her initiatives. For more information about Dayna and the Wading Whale and Water Safety Kit, you can visit her website at Water Safety with Miss Dayna, which is DAYNA.com. Hey, Dayna.
Hi.
Hey, girl. I am so happy to have you here, but I think it's important to talk about the stuff that our listeners can sort of take home to make summer safer. I
Yes.
think, although many of us know that it's like these damning statistics around these bodies of water with our kids and just the risk, I'd love for you to start with a little bit of the stats because it's eye-opening.
Yeah, it's disheartening, and now when we talk about this, I really want you wonderful, amazing people and your listeners to understand I do not want to come to all of this from a place of fear
Right.
or fear mongering. I'm going to share what I'm going to share as an opportunity to be proactive rather than reactive. Usually people are coming to me with water, I need help or whatever, because there's been a situation. And I really am so grateful for these opportunities to share so that we can be proactive. So, the numbers are not fun to talk about. The word drowning is not fun to talk about. Usually, like if I post up something, it's like crickets. Nobody wants to talk about that. So let's do it. Let's get over the hard part first. That's the stats. Drowning, as you said, is the #1 cause of accidental death in children under the age of 5.
Children across
It
the board,
is,
spectrum or not.
for children on the spectrum, it is the #1 cause of death, no matter how old. So under 18, it is the #1 cause of death, drowning. The CDC just about 2 weeks ago put out their most recent information. They're always about 2 years behind. So we're getting now the information about 2022. Their statistics now say that between 2019 and 2022, drownings in the age group of 1 to 4 went up 28%.
Oh,
Okay,
no wonder you're strapping on the world tour circuit.
28%. Like if you and I ran a business and we had a loss of income at 28% and continued to do the same thing that we've always been doing, and just go, hope it gets better. I mean, that's asinine. That is absolutely crazy to me. And yet that's what's happening with the drowning prevention community, with the swim lesson community. Nobody is saying, you know what, maybe what we've been teaching, maybe what we've been saying isn't enough, because
Or
it's
you're not
working.
accessing enough people, right? Like,
exactly. The message
yeah.
is, I believe there's a problem with the message. And I believe that they're not accessing the people that need to hear it the most in a way that they are hearing it. So we can't continue to do what we've always done and expect different results. It's just not going to happen. So, and in that latest CDC, normally we would be putting the word accidental death in there. That CDC report said that it is the number one cause of death in children 1 to 4, not even accidental. It surpasses every way that children 1 to 4 are dying. It's drowning.
Devastating. I think you don't realize that the danger is not just the deep side of the pool. The danger is not just, we're renting a boat on the lake. It is every body of water. It is the fountain outside of the clinic. Like, it's everything.
The number one site of drowning for children under 1 is the bathtub. And nobody thinks about you got a death trap in your own house, and people will judge and say, oh, well, that was neglectful or whatever. Okay, so I'll give you the 2 scenarios. One, a mom had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, bathed them, got them out, we're getting them dressed. The 3-year-old was dressed, the 1-year-old back into the bathroom, she didn't drain the tub. Neglectful, no. And it was an accident. But when we are aware of that can be a deadly body of water. Another one was a child had learned to turn the knobs on their own self. So, mom is in a different place or dad is in a different place. We turn the tub on. If a child slips and knocks themselves unconscious, we've got a pretty tragic situation.
In our community, in the autism community, so many of our kids, in fact, universally across this table, there is a hyper interest in water, in splashing and being in it, in managing it yourself, like specifically knobs, like fountains, all of the things. It's like a magnet. I mean, it truly is a draw for all of our kids.
Because children on the spectrum, so many that are like hypersensory things, they hear things, they see things, they feel things, how it feels on your skin. And like kids that come into my program that love the deep pressure. So, they want to go to the bottom of the pool. So when we're blowing bubbles, we go down because they love how that feels on their body. Well, that's all well and great when my eyes are on them and they are in a controlled environment. But when you have children who are sensory seeking, and that is something that they love, we've got to be doing better and providing parents with more tools to teach their children. Like I said, my mantra is where there's water, I will wait. So, I mean, we can talk all day about statistics. 160 times greater risk for drowning than neurotypical children.
The other side to that is not just people like you that offer it, but there's actually no places that offer it. Like, there's really not anywhere to take my autistic daughter for swim lessons. We have a pool. My parents put a gate around it the moment she was diagnosed, but that doesn't make a difference. But I cannot find anybody to come to my house to teach my kid to swim. Nobody that's certified to do it. So
and we can, if we want to go down the path to talk about swim lessons now, we can do it. If we want to just wait a little bit, we can talk about that. But there's reasons why that is right now, but also within the community of children with autism.
Can you talk a little bit about why it is now? And then we're going to talk about how your approach is to teach integrated classes. So can you tell us a little bit about what the problem is and then what your answer to it has been, because you've navigated so much of this?
I've been teaching children with autism before it was really autism. My time dates back to 1998, and I was a swim coach in North Delta, British Columbia, and I had a boy. I mean, I was struggling to coach him. And that's on me. That is not on a child. That was on me to figure it out. So we had a meeting with his parents, and they said, well, he's been diagnosed with autism, but we don't want people to know because we don't want him to be labeled. I was like, what? Okay. I didn't know that.
So 1998?
That's the year my daughter was diagnosed. So
1998.
Very different time.
And it was in that moment that I thought, I don't know what this is, and I'm going to do some research to figure out what it is, because that child deserved to be coached and effectively and have it be a positive experience and environment for him. And so that's when my journey started. Now, here I am 26 years later. And, my program here in Roanoke is probably the most recommended program by pediatricians and diagnosing medical doctors in the realm of autism. And I don't, know that yes, I have some certifications and I have some training, but beyond that, I have just this ability to connect with kids and figure out where we're at.
You had a passion too.
Yes. this is not my
to
job.
make sure that it was accessible to Jackson. I mean, you had that
Yes,
fire.
yes. Well, and so my classes are integrated. I teach a maximum of 4 children, and I'm full, so normally my classes are 4. And Jackson came in, and we can talk about Jackson because his mom said it was fine. He's now 9, but he came to me when he was 3, nonverbal, and an eloper, and very attracted to water. And we had some hard classes. We did to begin with. He didn't want to be a part of it. He liked the water, but didn't want to be under the water. Didn't want to jump in and learn to roll on our back. But for me, the biggest thing was keeping him safe, because some days he'd ride on my back, and he was a sensory seeker. So it was like having a
He's
monkey.
your little turtle shell. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was my workout for the day. I like him around.
Yeah.
But so the whole concept of the waiting mats came from Jackson. So we had a blue mat at one side of the pool and a blue mat at the other side. And when we first started it, I had to get his mom to stand behind him, because he would go to get up and we'd have to put him back down. Say, no, this is our mat. This is where we wait. And within a couple days, he began to understand the concept of that. So he would take his turn, and I'd say, Jackson, he was 3. Like, he was not a teenager. Jackson, on your mat. And then I would take the other child, work, and I'd come back and I'd get him, and he'd wait. And he would stim. And as long as he sat on that mat, I didn't care what he did. Splash the water, spin around, I didn't care. As long as his bottom remained on that mat. And so, fast forward 6 years after that, and really realizing that if it could work for my neurodivergent kids, the whole concept can work for my neurotypical kids as well. And we're going to teach these kids, where there's water, I will wait. I'm not going in without permission or without an invitation. So, I have training, a level 1 through a program called Autism Swim, which is out of Australia. There are other programs here in the US that work with special needs, but I don't have a lot of that within my program, like physical special needs. I've taught children with cerebral palsy. I've taught children with spina bifida, but it's just not a big part of my program here. So I've focused my training with Autism Swim, and I'm in the process right now of pursuing my level 2, because I like to learn. It's not that it's necessarily teaching me how to be a better swim teacher. It's teaching me how to better effectively work with my special learners.
Well, I think there's so much to be said about, like, shifting to, like, growing your understanding about the way that our kids live in the world, and shifting, like, just having a paradigm shift about, like, okay, I need to speed this part up. I need to slow this part down for this particular child or whatever. One of the things that you said prior to our recording is that you really expressed that you have integrated classes. And I think that's so cool. In addition, that you have this 4 max. So it wouldn't be that you have a Hellcat like my daughter and 3 more, and you're trying to, like, do the best you can, making sure they float. You're really being mindful about the community that you're building in that setting, each group of 4,
Yes. And that's, so like this afternoon, I have 2 little girls who are on the spectrum, and they're sisters, but they're in separate classes. So they go into an integrated class with, in their case, it's not necessarily it's done on purpose, but each of them have 3 neurotypical children in their class.
Yeah.
But in saying that, some of those kids also have different stuff, like we sometimes have a speech delay, or we have sensory processing stuff. And then the next class, I have, out of 4 boys, I have 3 that are special learners. But that is a dynamic that works together. Like you said, I don't have one Hellcat. I have neurotypical Hellcats, some of them sometimes. Because I'm asking them to do hard things, right? And I'm in charge. I'm the boss of them. And those things with children sometimes is hard. So, finding a program. So I believe you can go onto the Autism Swim website, and you can type in your zip code, and it will tell you whether or not there is a certified instructor in your area. One of the things that I am in the process of creating right now, I have 10 questions that you should ask any program that you're, like, almost like an interview style, if you're looking at a program. And I'm in the process of revamping that so that it becomes even kind of more in depth for families. I want you to know what questions to ask. In the United States, swim instructors do not need to be certified.
Which speaks to Jen's point of you can't find anybody that is, and you're saying it's because you don't have to be. Is that right?
In the US. In Canada, it's different. In Canada, it's different. But so, like, in my community, a facility can require an instructor to be certified, to
Mhm.
hire them. But there is nobody keeping track of whether or not it is. Like for me,
Yeah.
myself, and I, as a private instructor, I don't need to be certified. I don't need to have liability insurance. I don't need to have CPR and first aid. And
Wow.
yet I can hold small children underwater, you know,
Unbelievable.
and I want parents to know, having a piece of paper, having certification, it doesn't mean you're going to be a great instructor, right? But
Right.
I want parents to know you are empowered to ask these questions. And if you go to a program and they won't tell you or can't tell you, then you need to find a different program.
Oh, that's the wrong fit right there. We are all very accustomed to having big teams of folks because our kids have additional needs. And this, like, this pack of 10 questions or whatever it will become, 10, 12, 14, whatever it is. Like, it is so empowering to know, as my daughter's parents, like what I should ask. Who do I hold accountable? What is outlandish? Because you know what I would like? I'd like a doctor that can do all the things and make referrals. I'd love a swim instructor that would understand my daughter doesn't want to get out in 20 minutes. I would love a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that I actually should be asking for those and requiring a place. So that's so cool. Can you share a couple of the former top 10s?
So yeah,
In
so the
case they
number
get
one
rebranded as 12?
no, I might be 30 by the time I'm done with it.
Yeah,
It's
girl.
just, it's hard to go down this path because I really want to provide resources, like true
Yeah.
free resources, because when more people have this information, their moms, dads, they're going to make better decisions for their children. So
Yeah.
none of this is a secret. My own industry, some people are not very happy with me because it's not a
Whatevs.
secret, but exactly, and that's how I
Yeah.
feel. So, but the number one is my instructor certified? Period. You need to know that. And then from there, you can decide if you are hell-bent on it being certified, okay, then you already have your answer. You can move to the next program. You don't need to
Mess
pursue
around.
that avenue anymore. Another
Yeah.
question, especially with my special learners, is who is my instructor, and do they have experience with special learning situations?
Yeah.
Again, and then you may get a no, but you may get a no, but this instructor is somebody that should be working with special needs children. Ask if you can watch a class with this particular instructor.
Oh, that's
If
great.
you can watch and see. Like I get people all the time that come in. I don't know that I've even talked to them, but they know I've got an open door policy. Come sit and watch. You want to know, will my child have the same instructor every single day?
Preach.
Okay, because, and I
Yeah.
know people get sick. So in my case, if I am sick, I cancel lessons. I don't have somebody fill in or be a substitute for a day. There are some programs that will not give you that guarantee. So
Mhm.
again, how important is that to you to know that your child, your special learner child, who loves routine and thrives in environments where they have consistency and they know what's coming, how important is that to you that they have the same instructor? Like
I have to stop you, Dayna. I can't even. I mean, I just have to say, we have had so few people in the 3 years of our podcast that are not necessarily right in like this because they have to be. You've chosen this lane. You've educated yourself so much that you know all the things. I'm telling you, there are BCBAs that know less than what you do about the structure. And I mean, all these things that you're saying about our kids is just spot on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's like, I'm just so grateful.
Well, I've been at this a long time, and this is not my job. This is what I was put on this planet to do.
Oh,
I mean, I
God.
know that. I moved from Vancouver, British Columbia to Roanoke, Virginia, and I didn't know one single soul except our realtor. And yet here I am 24 years later, and I run the biggest independent swim pool. You don't get to
Cool.
walk away from what you were put on this planet to do. And now, as I'm approaching, not retirement, but my kids are moving out now, I'm approaching a point where this water safety stuff is also becoming such a huge thing. And I'm seeing my industry is not addressing it appropriately. And I need to make change happen because I cannot listen to it anymore. This
Well, your
drowning and that
content is
drowning.
just so shareable and relatable. And to learn prior to the recording starting that you're fixing to do this tour, can you tell our listeners a little bit about this initiative with the preschools? Because that's primo.
Okay.
I'm sorry that's not on our list, but I just have to put that right in.
The list, whatever the list. We'll get back to the list. So this year, every summer, I take most of my summer and I spend it with my kids. We've done trips and stuff. And My youngest is getting ready to go to college in the fall, so he's working this summer. My older two, my middle's in the Marine Corps, so he's leaving, and my older daughter, she works for CBS. So I was in this place of what am I going to do this summer? And all of these statistics started happening, and really super aware of the drownings. So for spring break, I was down in Florida for 2 weeks. I visited 300 schools in Florida. Not one single school had any information about water safety or drowning prevention.
Oh,
None, zero.
in
And I got
Florida,
that in Florida.
like the whole state's a coast. Thank you.
I mean, I had 12 cities, 14 cities,
Wow.
300 schools total, and not one had any water safety information. You know, car seat safety, or don't leave your kids in a car, fall, spring pictures, soccer, nothing for water safety. And right now, Florida has had 43 fatal drownings. And I believe all the children were under age 10 at this point. And so I came back from that trip and I'm like, man, if there's nothing in Florida, I can't imagine what I'm going to find when I go to states where people aren't thinking, ooh, there's drownings here.
Yeah.
Right. But they do have a bathtub.
A bathtub, we have canals, we have lakes, we have oceans, we have, you know, all of these other things. And, you know, sure, in Florida and Texas, Arizona, California, they're the four highest. And if we're not making inroads there, what is going on in the rest of the states?
Right.
Because if I'm finding nothing from my industry in those environments, I guarantee you I'll go to Minneapolis and there'll be nothing. There'll probably be less than that. So, you know, as I'm deciding
Is
what
that
to do with
because of, is that because of the heat? Is that why, do you think that it's higher
just
there in
have
those
more
places?
pools. They just have more access to water. You know, more houses have backyard pools. There's retention ponds. All the communities that are built there now, the newer communities, all have water features. And I mean, it's just water everywhere. So, and again, when we talk about drowning, so many times they're only people are only talking about a pool. Well, there's so many other ways for children to drown. And if I'm not educating parents on how to mitigate those situations, we're going to
Right.
continue to have drownings.
Right.
It's not just backyard pools.
I just love where there's water, I will wait. I mean, it's just so easy to implement.
It is. It's super simple, and we do it in other situations. So I decided then that for my summer break, because I couldn't even wrap my head around going on a fun vacation, because this eats me alive, and
Yeah.
creating content and writing blog posts and doing Facebook Live events. It was all consuming, and I thought, forget it. That's it. I'm going coast to coast. So I will leave Roanoke and I will begin my trek up north a little bit, and then I cut west. So the plan is 101 days, 30 states, 10,000 miles, and I will be visiting 1,500 preschools, daycares, and special learning centers.
Oh, what an
So,
impact. Dayna, so many people find their job becomes a career and they can make this impact. But I just love that instead of impacting Roanoke alone, you're trying to take responsibility from coast to coast, from like north to south and all the way around your big circuit this summer. But even more than that, that you see social media as a tool and your bright, bold reels and you're keeping it simple kind of lines. Can you talk about the initiative that I was like smitten with when I was watching the reels? Promise?
Promise. I've created 3 pillars of kind of water safety for me, truths, like non-negotiables. And when these 3 things are in place, I believe that we will keep our children literally above water. So a parent's promise is where there's water, a parent will watch. My industry comes at this and they say things like, well, adult supervision. Okay. The word supervise means to observe.
Yeah.
So, right, we watch road workers outside. One is working and 8 are observing, 8 are supervising. We cannot do that around water. But the word watch means to be alertly on the lookout. So no distractions, no cell phones, no friends, no alcohol, no, if your children are in the water, your eyes are on them at all times. And if you have a child that is not an independent and safe swimmer, you are in the water with them, eyes on them at all times. Like, we can't do this. I'm going to sit over on a chair and I'm going to give my child the inappropriate independence to go into the water by themselves. Because you do that one time and then the next time they're on the bottom of the pool and you're thinking, why did that happen? It's because you allowed them, you gave them permission to do that on their own, and they're going to make it happen again.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, parents will watch. And then there's, then from there, I have the watching initiative, which is 8 strategies. And we don't have to, people can go to the website
I
and
will
read them.
tell you, when my daughter, I think I explained to you that my daughter believes she was born a freshwater mermaid. She needs swim to balance herself. She needs like water constantly. We do so much. In her first blow up pool, I'm talking 3 years old, backyard, feels casual. I unwrap the pool and this thing flies out that's like made of pool side, like that plastic. So it doesn't tint, it doesn't rip, it doesn't break, it doesn't whatever. So this little piece of plastic, and there's like a carabiner on it. And it just described that, like, when your child is in this pool, the person holding this goddamn thing has their eyeballs in the water everywhere around. There isn't a safe corner of it. You can't lay on this side and I don't see you, and that's okay. It's fun. It's like, it was like a tangible, I'm handing this to my husband because I have to go make lemonade. Okay. Like, hold on to this until I get back. And just having these little simple things really impacted the way we looked at swimming, the way that we saw the dark side of the pool, the way, again, it's an 18-inch pool, but you can drown in a sink.
Absolutely.
I think people have a false sense of security with life jackets because my daughter had one on and I was at the outside of the pool. My sister-in-law and brother and nephew were all right there. And in a split second, she was upside down with her life jacket, which actually was preventing her from coming back up. And it was on correctly, but when she got down, face down, and when I say it was a millisecond, I mean, we were all right there, but like she flipped over in front of all of us. My sister-in-law grabbed her immediately and pulled her up. But if there was not somebody literally right beside her,
within arm's distance. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like life jackets and stuff like that?
So
take a drink, Dayna.
I know, right? Life jacket. This one topic is the bane of my existence because, again, my industry will wear no flotation devices ever. Never, never, never. They cause drowning. Nope, that's a lie. There are some things that they do to body positions, but a device cannot cause a child to drown. What is happening around us, that's what causes this. So in the world of life jackets, a type 2 life jacket is one that will turn a child from face down to face up. Okay, let's back up even more. People say, well, they're Coast Guard approved. A Coast Guard approves a life jacket to be on a boat, period. Mm-hmm. They don't approve it to be in the water, in the lake, in a pool. It is to be on a boat. That's what it's approved for. So if the Coast Guard pulls up to your boat and you don't have that on, you get a citation. Okay, like Coast Guard approves means on a boat. So
it does not mean safe in the body of water is the distinction you're trying to make. It doesn't mean it's a helper. It means you got to have that on the damn boat.
Right. And okay. I mean, does it help in the water? I mean, do we need it when our kids go to a lake? Do we wear a life jacket? Absolutely. I mean, but that's not what they're approved, or that's not the approval system. That's not what it's for. So a type 2 life jacket will be one that will turn a child from face down to face up if they ever went unconscious or anything like that happened. Okay, so those are the ones I'm saying for parents to say, I'm putting this life jacket on my child to be safe. Good. Hope it's a type 2, because if it's a type 3, which is a puddle jumper, a proper body glove life jacket, or any of the things, like if you open it on the inside panel, it says what type it is. It will say what the weight is, the type is. It'll tell you whether or not it's Coast Guard approved. But any type 3 device will hold a child in an upright position, up and down. So when we're wearing them in pools and our kids are in an up and down position all the time, when they take them off and re-enter water, oh yeah, see on the inside.
So I've got one here, just a run-of-the-mill Target, Minnesota one. It's a Speedo. And I didn't know where to look for it, so which is why I grabbed it. But on the second line of the first line of the entire big panel, it says flotation aid -- type 3 PFD. And then underneath it says intended use, water ski vest, wakeboarding vest, or personal watercraft vest. I'm like, oh, those are boats. Those aren't safety in water.
Yeah.
Dana
And
taught me
again,
that.
I don't, parents don't know that, they don't know to even look in there. They don't know what it means. So I did the
Right.
research. So on my blog, I have a blog post under H, and it lists it all. It's all right there for you to read. And then you've got to go back and look at what you've got. You know, one of the other things is there's a weight category in there. Well,
Mhm.
what happens when you have, you know, a really tall, skinny kid?
Right.
You've got to put them on it. Like the weight is, you don't, again, don't disregard it, but the fit is more important than the weight category.
Yeah.
With that. So
And just to be clear, nobody asks these questions. Like when I go in to buy a life jacket, I am certainly not asking the 49 questions because I'm buying a life jacket that's a water safety life jacket that I assume is going to keep my kid upright in a pool, and it did not. So,
Yeah. Right.
you know,
and again, it's not lack of information, it's lack of doing research because we're letting other people, well, my friend has a puddle jumper or my friend has a blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I'll just get that, not recognizing that each child, it's different for each one, and why are we using it?
Mhm.
So, you know, one of the things that I am not anti-flotation devices. Okay, I'm not. I had 3 children under the age of 5 one summer, and I had one she was an independent swimmer, one that was in water wings, and one that was in a baby seat. And this is what I do for a living. But we do half on, half off. For every 15 minutes, we're wearing a device, then we're off. It gave my kids the chance to sit on the edge of the pool and practice their wading. But my one non-negotiable is children will never jump into water with a flotation device because
shit.
what that does, they
That's
go
their
in,
favorite thing to do.
and it pops them straight
Dana,
back up.
say that again because I cut you off. I was just bewildered.
So when a child is on the edge of the pool and they're wearing a device and they're jumping in, and it pops them up, jumps in, pops up.
Mhm.
They think that they're doing that. Look,
Yeah.
I'm coming back up. In actuality, the device is what's doing it, not the children. So when a child drowns or has even a non-fatal situation, chances
Mhm.
are it's happened right on the edge of the pool because they've
Mhm.
fallen in or jumped in with the expectation that
They're
they're
gonna
going to come
bounce.
back up,
gonna come back up.
and then they don't.
I learned that because when my daughter started swim lessons, they would have the kids jump in the water a lot at the beginning of the lesson, at the end of the lesson. And I thought it was just a fun thing they were doing. And I was talking to the teacher one time and she's like, no, because kids currently are so used to puddle jumpers that we're teaching them, you jump in that water, you go down. And she's like, so we grab them, but we let them sink a little bit and then we pop up.
Yeah.
And they said the same thing. It's like, as long as you have them that device, you need to have them out. So they learn that they're not doing this
What's
stuff.
real?
The device is doing it.
Wow.
It is. And so like in my swim program, my little ones, from the time that they come in with me, the two, we jump, or we go under, and I teach them to roll over onto their back. And then we return back to the wall. Back in September, I had a little boy who came in, he's 4, maybe 4.5, and loves the water. And I said I always give him the chance. I said, okay, so do you want to jump with me? I'll hold your hand, or do you want to by myself, by myself? So he jumped in by himself, and it took me 2 seconds to realize what was going on. He went down and he made 0 attempt to come back up. So I had to reach down and I pulled him up. His eyes were this big. His parents' eyes were this big. And I looked at them and I said, does he wear a puddle jumper? And they were like, yes. I said, and you just saw firsthand why we can't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I've never in my life heard of a child in the middle of the pool going, take this off and drown. That's not where
Yeah.
they drown. They drown upon entering into the water. So one of my non-negotiables is fine. If wear a device, if the water is deep, half the time on, half the time off, but never are they entering the water with a device on. If they want to jump in 100 times, jump in, get out, ask, say, can I jump again? Yes. Okay. When they're done jumping, then you can put the device on. And there will be people in my industry that are going to be very angry that I would even say that. But again, I want to come from a place of realisticness.
I was just gonna say, because people are gonna do it for whatever reason they feel they're gonna do it because it gives people like a feeling of a safety net, which is part of the problem, because it's like some people get a little too lax, in my opinion, when kids are in these things.
Yes.
But like at the same time, people are just going to do it. So it's better. Yeah, you're right. It's better to teach them a better way than just to say, don't do it. It's like,
Yeah,
trying to teach the
all or
teenagers,
nothing.
telling them not to have sex. Just don't
It-
do it. Like, that's
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean? You got to teach like all the other things. So that makes a lot of sense.
And I want parents to come again to this from a place of empowerment. You
Yeah.
now know what your child's body does in these devices, so you've got to make the decision. I've long given up arguing with parents. I just can't. I will give you the information and I will tell you why it's dangerous and why it makes your child susceptible to a water accident happening. But I'll give you some other things as well so that it's not all or nothing.
Dayna, are there other sort of swim like misnomers that you passionately want to debunk? Because I've never heard the life jacket thing like that, and I will never look at them the same. I'm just saying, like, we've already done a swim safety where Kim has told me that they're unsafe and why, but it never made sense to me that there's this false skill. Like there's this, my daughter is trusting that her body's going to do, but really there's no tool to do it. So she's sinking, mermaid sinking.
And then we say things like, oh, you're such a good swimmer. Look, they're not swimming. Stop saying it.
Oh my
They're
God, I
not
love you.
swimming.
Okay, so are there other things that are like right in this lane of, I need to debunk it?
So, okay, parents, please don't think that lifeguards are watching your children. They're not babysitters.
Oh yeah.
I said, so I did the swim safety episode. We did one last year, but I did it. I'm not a certified swim anything, but like that's literally one of the things I said because I'm so neurotic. I don't know if it's because I grew up on the ocean, so like I'm just very like crazy with the water. Like I always have been. Like it blows my mind people that are like reading books while they're like 7-year-olds in the water. Like I don't understand it. I just think that you have to have a huge respect for the water to really understand like how dangerous and fast it can change things, you know.
But we don't. Parents don't. You know, I wrote a blog post that says we have more respect for trick-or-treating than we do for water safety. You know, you would never let your 2-year-old in their costume walk down a big long driveway, knock on a door and say trick or treat and then come back. You'd never do that.
Right.
But yet we put our kids in a device and we let them go and we sit on a chair, we check our phones. I don't know why the disconnect is there. I don't, but I'm going to get to the bottom. I swear to you. I
Because
swear.
We believe you.
It's a false sense of security is what it is. And again, just to be clear, when my daughter was in the pool, she was on the very side. My sister-in-law is closer than I am to my phone right now. And it literally, she flipped right in front of us as we are all sitting and standing there.
But
nobody goes into our pool unattended. They're not allowed. Actually, my kid is not a fan of the water. I would say I'm lucky with that. She has zero desire to go into the pool. She would never go in by herself. She doesn't even allow me in the water. She'll only go in if other kids are in there.
It's not just the devices though. I see lots of people that do not pay attention to their children when they do not have devices. Yeah. We live in a pond community, so there's a pond nearby and there's lifeguards. And you'd have people drop their kids off. Like, I'm like, where's this person's parent? I'm like the community lifeguard on the sand. I'm like, what? And they would leave. They would leave their child. Some of these lifeguards are 15, 16 years old. Like, I'm sorry. Like, okay, maybe it's like you gotta lean in your thing and get a water and you can be like, okay, there's a lifeguard, but like that's about it. I mean, obviously having a child with special needs, she had no safety awareness for a really long time.
Right.
Like, she used to bob. She had no fear of the water. So she would bob up and down, up and down. And one day I'm looking at her and I'm like, is she over her head? Over her head. But she would go up and go down. Like you couldn't even tell. And then me and the lifeguard both started running at the same time. And then she had like a phase where she would jump in.
Seems like you're fired.
I know. I stopped running like I'm on Baywatch, you know. But I didn't have a business on. I probably had like shorts on. But she did a phase where she actually would jump into a pool over her head, and like it would be like you were walking by. She'd let go of your hand, jump in, be overhead. She couldn't swim. She would go down, come back up, and then of course like my husband would have to like jump in fully clothed to grab her because she didn't know how to swim at the time. And she thought it was hilarious, and she went down and came back up. I don't even know how she did it, not knowing how to swim, but like I think because there was no panic, there was no fear, so she just kind of like went up. And it was just very thank God this was just like one summer, then this phase was like over because it was like absolutely like terrifying. But like, and she thought it was hysterical because then we're jumping right in to get her. So that's the reaction that she thought was like funny. But meanwhile, we're losing years of our life. Like, you know.
that inability to determine safe, unsafe,
Mhm.
or funny, not funny, or appropriate, inappropriate. And that's where, utilizing the water safety kit that I created, having the mats available and taping out the areas. So, the blue tape becomes, we'll wait here. This is our like checkpoint.
Yeah.
And we have our mats there. So we know what happens where that's concerned. And then we have red tape. Well, we know red means stop and that's closed. And we talked about all of that every single day. So when our kids are going through these phases of, it's so funny, it's not so funny, and we've got to mitigate, we got to get ahead of we've got to give them something, a visual thing, a tactile thing, something to, because these ambiguous terms like don't go there. What is like, did you mean like don't go there now or don't go there later? It's closed.
My daughter's like,
closed.
Don't go there underwater or don't go there to my knees because I'm going in anyway. Yeah. Dayna, when you talk about your water safety kit, is that for, and I'm terribly sorry that I don't know this, but is that something that I would buy, or is that something my daughter's school would get, or is that the place that we would go to the pool and they have it to teach it?
So right now, it is what I'm really focused on is putting these water safety kits into homes, into individual families. Yeah, so parents can buy the water safety kit. It's a mat. It's the red barricade tape and the blue barricade tape. We've got right now a little workbook that we're turning into something that will become an online version. And then I have about a 20-minute video that I did that walks parents through 6 different water environments and how to use it, so that you take it with you when you go to the pool, when you go to the beach.
Yeah.
When we were saying about the kid where the parents just dropped them off, I have one family that went to the beach, had their mats, had everything there, and she had a little 2-year-old in a diaper, just toddled over, sat down on the mats with the girls, and they all played in the sand. And somebody had to go find that parent. Had that visual thing not been there, maybe that wouldn't have, I mean, again, not saying this solved this, but the visual of these whales and these maps, it drew that child so that he went and sat and waited until they could go find his parents.
That is so messed up.
Yeah,
it's so smart though, Dayna, to, you're so well versed, as I mentioned before in one of my passionate cutoffs of you, is that like you're so passionate about understanding the why behind what's different for our children, but you're not making your own wheel. You're not like spinning some yarn of bullshittery that's just like your branding. It is like the same principles that the preschool is teaching, that the ABA clinic is teaching. It's the same words. It's the same red for stop. And I think it's so smart for you to make something that is so flexible, not pliable, but like so flexible that I can bring it to a river, which is far more dangerous than the rink dink pool that I've got. I mean, just like where the safety is different and the situation is different. It's cool to make a universal tool that accesses the other lessons that my daughter has had through all of her other school settings that aren't water specific. Smart.
And that's, that was my goal. I wanted it to be easy, because it's not hard. And I wanted it to be small enough that you can take it with you. It's portable, it's light, it's waterproof, all of those things. But in the end, it's about consistency. If we are every single day working with our children on ABCs or colors or shapes, why can't we be working with them on water safety?
Right.
And for parents who will say things like, oh, well, I always watch my child, or, I would never let them, please don't say always and never. Please don't use those 2 words, because neither of them are true. And I want to arm you with more so that, you've got the tools that you need all right at your fingertips, be it information, be it strategies, be it, so these are the latest things. You can't really see it, but it's a little red bracelet. It says, I am a water safety warrior. And that's kind of what I feel like. But I've given these to all of my kids. This week is their last week of lessons for the spring. And so they're getting them, but before they can get one, they have to promise me that they will not ever go into water by themselves. We've worked all year on where there's water, I will wait. That, we close the pool, They are only allowed to even come poolside when I invite them individually by name. You know, Hadley,
Yeah.
I'm ready for you. Connor, I'm ready for you. And then otherwise they sit and wait on their mats. And I could leave them there for 30 minutes and they wouldn't move.
Get to
Because,
my house. I want 30 minutes. Dayna,
because
stop in
they do.
Minneapolis, sister.
I'll be there. I told you I'll be
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
the little ones, you know, they understand the concept of this. When they look at these bracelets, they know what that means for them.
Yeah.
And then I look at the parents and say, and your promise is that you will always watch. You know, so those three pillars that the parents will watch, the children will wait, and families will swim. I mean, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Parents watch, that's your job. Children wait, that's their job. Families together go into water. We don't allow, if I'm teaching your child, you're never allowed in water by yourself, ever, ever, ever. And then you go to the pool and you sit on the chair and you say, okay, go ahead and jump in. You've gone against everything that we've just taught that child.
Right.
You've now
And it
caused
undermines
fear
the whole thing.
for them. They're like, but I don't, that's not what I know. That's not what you told me. Do I go? Do I not go? We can't around water. There can be no gray area. It is black. It is white. It is open. It is closed. I am watching you. I am not watching. So therefore you're not going. It is, and parents must begin to take more responsibility around water. They just have to. My analogy that I always use is when you're in a grocery store, you know, you don't put your child into a cart and leave it in an aisle and walk 3 aisles over to go get something else.
Yeah.
You know, you take them with you. We don't get to the door and go, okay, well, the car's over there. You know, here's an orange vest. I'll meet you there. I mean, it's nonsense. It's
Yeah.
like when I said to parents, like, Dayna, that's the stupidest thing. But yet, around water, we do it all the time.
Eye-opening to think about that. I mean, it makes me take a different responsibility just in my like, oh, damn, Rachel. And I have considered myself pretty hyper vigilant because my daughter is gonna die by drowning. I mean, she is like face first in the, we've moved from a certain townhouse to the house that we're in because I found her talking to the fish face first in a pond. Like, I mean, I thought I was safe, you know, like a responsible mom. Some of the tricks that we've learned over the course of time are these little things that have really made a difference for keeping my daughter safe when we are in water, like a bright swimsuit, like no blue, no black.
Yes.
Like just these silly things. Do you have little tips and tricks that you've been able to see patterns?
The bright swimsuit thing is kind of a recent, in the last 2 years, I think. An instructor put that out and it really took fire. And, you know, yeah, sure, wear a bright swimsuit. It's just a smart thing to do. You know, you don't want to wear a black swimsuit when you're in a lake, but you can wear, you know, but again, it comes down to if I am in the water with my child, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're naked. You know, it is
That's
one of
the
those
swim
things
lesson my
that has,
daughter wants to attend.
yeah, clothing is
Wing
highly
winner.
overrated. But,
Yes.
you know, it's one of those things that has come about because of a lack of watching.
I hear
You know,
you. Totally.
if my eyes are on my child at all times, you know, they can have no swimsuit on, but I'm going to know where they are.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not relevant and we shouldn't consider it as another strategy. Absolutely. Wear bright colored swimsuits. Or this, look at the bottom of whatever water environment you are and pick the opposite color.
Yeah, right.
You know, like if you're in a pool and the bottom is a bright blue, then you don't want to pick blue or greens, you know, or
Yeah.
maybe even yellows. You want to pick bright, like pinks and oranges and, you know, stuff like that. If you're in a lake, you know, it's a different, you're not wearing black. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, there's just all kinds of things where
Gonna be not real if you're following the Dayna Harvey rule, which is like I'm with my dang kid because families swim together. Yeah.
I mean, Rachel, that is what I hope. That is my absolute heart's desire, that this message, these strategies, because they are immediately implementable, that when families hear them and they go, why wouldn't we be doing all of those things? And so we begin to change the landscape, we begin to change how families are interacting with water. But then again, if parents choose to not, they're like, oh, that's silliness. You can no longer say, well, I didn't know. I didn't know that that's what a life jacket does.
Yeah.
But I'm going to choose to wear one anyways, but you cannot come back and tell me now, why didn't know that? And that for me is the place of empowerment. I want to empower parents. I want to give you all the stuff. Even when you're telling me that's enough, I've heard enough.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's great.
So
Okay.
maybe might have missed this. So is there a level 1 life jacket? I heard you talk about level 2 and
There,
level 3.
there's actually 5.
Oh,
And they're types. It's a type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5. A type 1 is really for like really rough water situations, not just for calm waters or water sports. And again, I think in my blog, it's there what all of them are good for and where you can find it. A type 1 is, I mean, you're not going to go to Walmart and find it. Those are going to be special order things for
So
special
it's
types of
specific
water
equipment.
environments. Yeah.
I was
Yes.
just
So
curious.
we'll link your blog also, or I'm sorry, your website, your social media, and also Autism Swims, because Autism Swim. That's
Yeah.
the site where you can put in your zip code, right?
Yes, yeah. I don't know how prevalent it is. I mean, around the country, I know that it is continuing to grow as children are diagnosed at a much greater rate and all of that. I think my community, my world of aquatics, a lot of people who are in the same mindset that I am, that this is not my job, that this is why I was here, they are pursuing additional certifications. But again, parents, hold your people accountable. If that is something that you need for your child, then you go and you ask for it. And then if a community pool says, oh, we don't have that, why not? Drowning
Yeah.
is the #1 cause of death for children with autism. Why are you not pursuing training specifically to meet the needs of my child? I mean, you have a right to ask those questions and hopefully get some answers, because when enough people are stirring it up, change will begin to happen.
Hello.
Now, when enough parents know where there's water, I will wait. When enough parents know that you are required to watch, when enough parents know that there is a water safety kit out there, I equate it to a car seat. In a car,
Yeah.
we have a car seat. Around water, we have a water safety kit. It's the equivalent.
Well,
and it
I
will
just
go with
love,
them for all time.
for so many of us, we're like, oh God, another thing to carry. Holy cow, another thing to like deal with. But you grab the swimsuit, put your swim kit in the same bag, like put it with the beach towels. It's just not that big of a deal to remember
I mean, the
this
mat
tool.
is,
Yeah.
I don't even know how many inches it is. It's just it's a little square mat. It's about that big. And the tape, the barricade tape, before you leave, you just take off enough, chuck it in your bag, and it lasts for forever.
Yeah.
It's not something that you would use once and throw it away. It's sturdy so that it doesn't tear. You have to so you got to cut it with scissors, either bring scissors or you pre-cut what you're going to need before you go, and just chuck it in your bag and take it. And in the end, down the way, as our children learn these things, we don't, it'll be something that we don't need to have with us all the time because the
Right.
concepts are so ingrained in us. When I say wait, good. I mean, my kids, they turn and watch, and my parents will say the same thing. Empowering us with that word has made a huge difference. I look at the water safety kit like an extra set of hands. When
Right.
you go to the pool, you throw down your mat and say, sit down. I got to set up lunch, or I got to put on sunscreen or whatever. It's an extra set of hands so that you know for certain your child is not off doing something inappropriate.
I'm like, well, because you're not going to be doing the training, do you have a mat with a 5-point harness? Because I've got a runner. Like do you have one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
Maybe we just got to strap it in, and maybe we'll wear it with a cape on the back.
Dayna, the point isn't the mat. The point is the mat. Like the point is being on the same page with the people that you're with. The point is having a space for safety. The point is practice the pause, I love how simple it is. I want to thank you for caring, because we were thrust into this life when we discovered so much about our kids. We have the opportunity as a podcast to talk to a whole bunch of people that have chosen the autism lane of their industry. And it's just so heartwarming to meet someone that's just filled with it. I mean, you are doing 10,000 miles this summer to impact families like ours. I just thank you. Is there anything else that you want our listeners to know, or anything specific to finish us up?
I want to be a resource. As of June 22nd, I will be on the road. So if my email address is right there on the website, that comes directly to me. I may not be immediately prompt with a response, but You know, if you have a question or you're running up against a roadblock or you've had a situation with your child that you need a little bit of help mitigating, you know, I'm happy to spend a little bit of time to talk that through. What I ask for families is go through the website and read everything. Read
Yeah.
the blog posts. You know, it's not necessarily that they're for families with children with autism or not. It's just a general concept. But go through and read everything, because some of those pages will answer your questions. But if after you've done that, you still have questions, please reach out. Please.
Yeah.
You know, I will handle what I can and hopefully be able to align some families with people in their areas that can do the same, or at least empower you to know what to ask when you do find some people. You know, the water safety kit is super easy to get and have in your home. But again, if you have one and then you're struggling with a situation, just ask. I don't want parents to feel like they are alone. So I don't even know if you can see them.
Yeah, turn us. Yeah.
So this is Wilson. Each of my Wilsons, they have their name. He's
Yeah.
an Orca.
Oh, there he is. Okay. An Orca. Uh-huh.
Okay. So he's my Orca, and he has autism. He has, and this over here, right there, this is Winnie. She's a narwhal. She's deaf. She has a cochlear implant. The autism community to know that I hear you. I hear you. You may not even know that you're asking the questions about water safety, but I hear you. And I have created specific character for your children to connect with and know that Wilson was designed to meet the needs of your child.
So to our listeners, Dayna is describing some like graphics of different whales. I'm sure that these are the wading whales. And
They are the whales.
They are, yes. And they each have a certain initiative on their own. Dayna, God darn inclusive. I just love it. I am about you.
I want you to know I'm listening. You know, I hear you, and I'm trying to produce things for your family specifically. I've taught hundreds of children with ASD and I mean, and everything in between, really and honestly. And when a certain community is experiencing drowning at the rate that this community is, and the resources seem to be next to zero, that has to change.
Yeah.
And I will advocate for you. I will advocate for your children, but I need parents to also be ready to advocate for their children where water safety is concerned. We can't say we didn't know.
And take responsibility. I mean, seriously, I can say that as a mom who's learned a lot tonight, you know?
Be a part of it. Like, this is such an awesome thing to get to do with your child. This isn't something you just necessarily have to hand off to somebody else to take care of. This is something that you can make a part of your family, a part of your day-to-day operations. You know, you have a bathtub. If your little one is diagnosed at 2 or 3, you've got a bathtub, you have an awesome opportunity to work with them every single day on that. So I'm a resource here for you. No question is a dumb question. Just be a little patient with me as I'm spending a lot of time driving.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dayna. We will talk to you the next time we are ready for an update, because, girl, that's the problem.
Wait. Thanks, y'all.
We're happy to
Thank
share.
you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Talk Like a Mother Parenting Autism podcast. If you are enjoying our podcast, make sure to rate and review us wherever you listen. And if you'd like to support us, you can become a subscriber. Just check out the description of this episode. Give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram for more content, and we'll see you next time.